No, I mean, I think you're cute and I like seeing you up here.
Oh my goodness, writer.
Also, the accent. The accent is, I mean, it's not the only thing, but, okay, I should just go
Oh
over there
god.
instead of piloting
Oh
thing.
man. Now, here lays a problem that nearly every gamer gets harped on for, and I mean, I can understand why. You pick the girl character, wowee, what are you, a pansy? Well, while I could say, racist and sexist much, that wouldn't be a very good argument. There are multiple reasons why someone would pick or create the female character in a video game, and although I am sure that is one of the many reasons why people pick to be female, not every gamer who picks a female character is a closet gay or wants to be a chick, and they certainly aren't picking it because lol, why stare at a dude's ass all day, am I right? So I'm going to keep this brief, but the most common reason for people picking the female character is because they like to stare at the girl's ass, or they like to hear her moan and groan when they take damage. This is a bullshit reason, and while I'm sure there are many people who genuinely pick because of this reason, it's often because of this first defense for picking female characters, and it's typically coupled with embarrassment or taboo because they don't want to be shamed for picking female. It's not a very good reason, at least. For me personally, yes, I often pick the female characters, and I try to pick female when the setting calls for it, or it's more interesting. I'm not for shoehorning in a female character when I can, and I'm not about to replace, the postal dude with a postal girl or jacket with, I don't know, Jackie or something, but this is typically in a game where you make your own character, and I feel as if the setting would be more interesting or fun with a main female role. Okay, so I'm a pretty big movie guy myself. I have my own taste, and a lot of the movies I watched when I was a bit younger had larger female roles, like, for instance, Wendy from The Shining, or Aeon for AM Flux, The Bride, Go-Go, Cottonmouth, Copperhead, and California Mountain Snake from Kill Bill, Trinity from The Matrix, Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction, Ellen Ripley from the Alien series, Samara and Naomi from The Ring, the list goes on. I could be here all day discussing my favorite female leads, but the point is that this probably affected my decision to play female in video games. The idea of women, especially empowered with some sort of purpose or ultimatum, or even a weapon, that they must pursue is something I, along with many others, find interesting. Sometimes there is something more appealing to playing a woman. Sometimes there are merits to playing female. For example, in Fallout 2, you can seduce Metzger at the den of Free Vic, or seduce Myron for free chems, or even become a porn star. But sometimes, it's more fitting to play the part of a male too. Think about it. What if J.C. Denton, Deus Ex, was female? Well, in Invisible War, there is an option to play female Denton, but we're talking about good old JC here. Do you think he would have had anywhere near the humor or intimidation factor? The whole idea behind this mysterious guy in shades and a jacket who fights terrorists, it's very reminiscent of the whole secret agent idea we keep in our minds. And it is also very similar to Neo from The Matrix. Do you think it would have been better if he were female? Think about what would be lost. He's got the hair. He's got the banter with Anna Navarra. He's got the relationship between JC and Manderley. You can't tell me Manderley would act the same way if JC was female.
By the way, Denton, stay out of the ladies' restroom. That kind of activity embarrasses the agency more than it does you.
The way guard and civilians address him, and of course the iconic gravelly voice.
My vision is augmented.
Let's take another example, in a game where you can choose your character's gender. In Fallout 3, your father leaves the vault to pursue one of his own lifelong dreams, and his child, you, leaves the vault to find him. Wouldn't you think the whole father-son bond is a lot stronger? Surely you can call her daddy's little girl, but throughout the entirety of the game, it just feels right being a son as opposed to a daughter. Not to say a daughter wouldn't pursue her father at all, but the whole theme between losing your mother to Dr. Lee's involvement in your birth, and even the way your father speaks to you throughout the entire game, makes me feel like a son fits better than a daughter. Now, this is merely in favor of the son, in the typical case that he just follows because it's just his father. And for those role-playing in Egghead, someone with the idea that Project Purity is something that must be achieved, then you could easily fit a female character in. I mean, why you'd ever roleplay on Fallout 3 or how you'd even do that is beyond me, but some people like to do that, so let's take another example. Assassin's Creed 1. It is my favorite of the entire series. I just love the story and the gameplay elements that clash together, especially with the setting, because it actually makes you question both the order you work for and the men you assassinate. And in my opinion, it's the perfect blend of story and gameplay. Even if the gameplay can be a little weak sometimes, but imagine if Altair was a girl. Think about the time period he's in and what he's doing exactly. The way Altair speaks, the way his philosophy is, the way he imposes himself toward others, toward his friends, his enemies, his bitter rivals.
An excellent kill. Fortune favors your blade.
Not fortune, skill. Watch a while longer and you might learn something. I do not know. All that matters is the Master considers it important. Else he would not have asked me to retrieve it. My thanks, brother.
Safety and peace out there.
Best hurry. No doubt you're eager to put your tongue to his boot.
Another word and I'll put my blade to your throat.
And what is it you want?
Blood.
Sure, call me a sexist, but I don't think I could see these traits appropriately on a female Altair or some sort of equivalent. Sure, I mean, it might have been neat to see the struggles between a female assassin and the many bureau leaders, and the utter embarrassment coming from high and mighty assassination targets, but Altair toward the beginning of the game is seen as a kind of high and mighty person himself. Almost like a little in your face after his demotion to those who were once his subordinates.
Safety and peace, Altair.
You're in my way.
Bozo.
Yes, yes. We can eavesdrop, we can pickpocket, or we can use violence to intimidate.
Good, you remember.
You know who it is?
Perhaps.
Then give me a name and let's be done with it.
That's not the way it works.
Now, I am aware that there are female assassins in this series, but these came much, much later. The original Assassin's Creed takes place during the Third Crusade, and these later games feature female assassins are around from the 16 to 1700s. Not that it's much different, but I simply think a Syrian-born assassin brotherhood would have very little room for female assassins according to what history says, if at all. One more for you. So what if Faith from Mirror's Edge was male? I mean, I haven't played Mirror's Edge Catalyst because it's an open world piece of garbage that literally no one even remembered even on release day, so I'm just going to talk about the original Mirror's Edge. Faith is beautifully designed, both as a character and on her actual model. She is young and ambitious, and seeks the truth for both herself and the cause. On top of it, she has a bit of an attitude of her own, but nothing exactly too edgy or sharp. It's a gentle blend to form a gentle but determined character, and that's very good. There is no doubt that statistically women are found to be more gentle or caring than men. That's why you have jobs that prefer women as secretaries or in the administrative positions, and jobs that prefer men as security or bouncers. Women are seen as more approachable and generally less violent than men.
Because Carmack's condition is that he's dead.
The whole idea behind Mirror's Edge is to have clean hands. Run through the game, don't kill anyone you don't have to, avoid conflict, and just keep running. The job of a runner just barely teeters on the edge of legality, the Mirror's Edge, if you will. Do you honestly think that the pacifist run would feel more satisfying as a dude? I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's not like you get points deducted for slaughtering people, but if Faith was a guy, then the game's story would be very, very bland. I mean, just look at the loading screen. Most of the time she's featured as only fighting when she has to, and not even bothering with guns, but this one in particular. This one is the main attraction. You see that? The one guard pushes her, and she seems helpless as she meets with the other guard, so much so that he sympathetically puts a hand on her shoulder, which gives her the opening she needs to escape. Faith is an agile woman, not a strong one. She could even be seen as weak in the muscle department, especially via this little loading screen animation, but come on, do you honestly think someone like Faith would have the same innocence or charm as a small-framed guy? I can almost guarantee that a guy like that, he wouldn't just be shoved, then patted on the shoulder. He'd like you to walk away with nothing broken, for goodness sake. So that's about it for this little rant, but the point I'm trying to make is that sometimes the setting calls for a female role, and sometimes the setting calls for a male role. Like, imagine if Corvo Attano was female, for instance. How boring would that be? It's really no secret that Emily is his daughter now in the second game, but all of that could have been thrown out the window, as the first game not only heavily implied that the Empress and Corvo were in love, but it also heavily implied that Emily was Corvo's actual daughter. What if Dowd was female? Do you think he would have had the same moxie and charm that Michael Madsen delivered with his performance? What if Billy Lurk was a guy? Do you think there would have been as much tension between him and Dowd? What if Delilah was a wizard instead of a witch? It'd be boring as hell, that's what. So there's gonna be guys who say, you pick a girl because you're a closet fag, or there's gonna be guys who say, I pick a girl because I like staring at a girl's ass. But really, it really depends down on the setting and the story. A good game will typically compensate for either or. It'll have a good fit for both the female and the male characters, but those games typically, it doesn't really matter whether you pick either or, because it's kind of hard to tailor the game so it like both kind of fit. It's hard to explain. Another game that recently came out that I haven't actually played is Prey. I believe it allows you to pick both male or female, but I'm not really sure it really matters in the story, because I've never played any of the Prey games, to be fair, but you know, it looks kind of fun. Now it's hard to make a likable character. It is. It's hard to please everyone with that character, for instance. I mean, there's always going to be people who hate on your character, or hate a certain character, or love a character that you hate, or whatever. People have different tastes. People like different things in a character. Some people they like to root for the evil guys. Me. Some people they like to root for the good guys. You know, the White Knights. If you plan to you know, make a movie or a show or a game or whatever, and you plan to have a certain female or male character, typically I honestly find it's best to plan a character without a gender in mind and build around that. It's the best way to fit, because then once you have the base character filled out and you got, you know, what they like, what they don't like, what their goals are, it really becomes a lot easier to fit the gender toward that based on how you want to portray them. That's typically what I do in games where you make your own character as well. Now, that's not to say that gender in a character doesn't matter, because that is far from the truth. But when you're making a character, you really need to think, like, does this gender fit my character? Would it be better if they were this gender? If they were female, you know, like, I'm not saying, you know, make your stereotypical gentle female characters. I'm not saying make your stereotypical beefcake male characters. I'm saying make it unique, but you don't want to shoehorn anything in. You don't want to ever force anything as a character. And, you know, always remember the golden rule of making a character is if this isn't the most interesting part of this character's life, why the hell do we need to know about it?